Good evening to everyone tonight. I want to apologize for coming very late. I am sorry. We work on this weakness and hopefully it won't happen again. If you can hear my voice, please just send the I so I can know you are hearing me. I'm very impressed at the level of knowledge that people have exhibited so far in the class. And I hopefully believe that we are going to have a good time today. We will not waste time, or we continue from where we stopped the last time. We were dealing with the parameters that gives a 7 and above in writing, and we talked about task response, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and sentence. Grammatical inaccuracy. Then we are now talking about outline. The types of opinion essays. We have talked about opinion essays and then the idea essay. So we are now dealing with the types of opinion essay that we have. And then we said the opinion essay is divided into two parts. That's a viewpoint essay and then the discussion essay. So we have been able to trash something about the viewpoint essay. We gave some little notes about it. And last week, not last week, that was Monday. It looks like last week. A number of us were able to write or draft out what a discussion, a viewpoint introduction looks like. Now, I'd like you to know that ability to impress your examiner does not come from the abundance of the vocabulary of that statement, but simple English rules. Simple English rules. And that's the reason why sometimes we put very big English and all that, but it will still not make much sense to the examiner. You need to understand what the examiner is really looking for and give it to him. And this is where a lot of candidates have problem. They don't know what the examiner wants, so they just craft something. And that's why I gave that structure of last week. Neutral statements. Neutral statements. It is important that you know how to draft a neutral statement without cracking your brain. And that is the reason again why I actually talked much about the use of useful language. Useful language. If you don't know the useful language that is appropriate in the use of, in the drafting of a simple neutral statement, you will likely think of just draft anything. And when you draft anything, you get anything. I saw a number of us try to, use our mind to think. Now, I like you to know, there is, after this particular issue on introduction, I'll be talking about body, and I'll be talking about concession, then we'll move to conclusion, okay? Now, I will now go back to planning, how to plan. Now, when you get to the planning section, you will discover that there is so much to use your mind to work with than to be using it on how to write neutral statements, or trying to use your mind to draft how to write how to draft a thesis statement. The structures are there. All you need to do is know them. Just know them. Last week, I did us a favor of calling out some of those structures for us to write. I think I did that last week, and I expect that every one of us had me when I did that, because I wanted you to have a simple idea of how the framework of this past look like. You see, you need to come to a junction of knowing some things that if I use this particular method, I'm fine for it. If you are still having fear that this thing, hope it will not work, then you will have a lot of things to think about. You start thinking, how do I draft my neutral statement that is going to be acceptable? How do I draft my this? How do I draft my that? And by the time that thought comes to your mind, the things you're supposed to think about, you're not going to think about it properly. And definitely, when the major thoughts, or how will I put it now? The major active thoughts aspect of writing task 2 is your ideas. That's where thought thinking has to come in. Now, when you are not able to think properly, when I say properly, I mean you are not able to think deeply to be able to pull out real point that will taste your examiner and that will make you to actually, write something tangible. And you now write a beautiful introduction. What do they want introduction to do? Your ideas are watery. No, it does not catch attention of the examiner. Doesn't fascinate them. It does not carry the weight of your reason. Then there's a problem. So, for the sake of those people that probably didn't get the useful statement last week, I'm going to call them again. The only part that does not have useful statement is your thesis statement, which even is so simple because you just have to paraphrase few words there. You large bulk of what's in your thesis statement to be written out. I mean, what I was talking about, background statements. A bulk of it to be written out. So just a change of 2-3 words, and you're fine. So let us try and see some useful language that you can use for your neutral statements. I like you to write it down. This is something you have to write down. It's not a matter of I have it in my mind. Because from what I saw, so many of us are still thinking about neutral statements. There's no need to think about it. There are 3 things you won't think about in writing your neutral statement. Writing your introduction. Number 1, you don't have to think about your neutral statement. Number 2, you don't have to think about your thesis statement. And number 3, you don't have to think about your outline statement. As a matter of fact, you may not even have to think about outline statement. These are things you just write down naturally without struggle. So it's not easy to get worried or to begin to especially think and think and then almost having a headache because you are trying to look for synonym. Okay, so let's go. The first word you write for your thesis statement is, you can say there is a widespread concern about, then you now pick a framework from the topic, the main topic itself, the summary of that topic, okay, that the sector that topic belongs to, you now add it. Maybe it's an education, about education. Maybe it's discipline, about discipline. See, I want people, don't try to prove that you know how to write, you know English language during the IELTS exam. All the English you have been learning since primary school till now, if you use that one to attack IELTS, one will fail. You understand? Can't hear me. Please, if you're not hearing me, can I see your hand, please? If you're not hearing me at all, probably just send a no, something. Let me see a sign. But if you can hear me, let me know. If you can hear me, let me know. Because I want to be sure that it's not only me. All right. I'm loud and clear. Okay. I can hear. So that means the person that's not hearing me may not be having issue with network. All right then. It's okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. So now, if one you are going to IELTS and you are using when I was in school, I was the best English student. That doesn't work for IELTS. So if you like have a one in English, it doesn't matter. They don't care about that. The major thing is know what they want and give it to them. But have your 6.5 or 7 and leave the exam for them. You don't have, it's an exam that is virtually, for me, it's not necessary, but fine, they have subjected us to it, and it's a lot of money. And so you just need to know what they want and give it to them. Simple as ABC. Number one, there is a widespread concern about so and so. That's all. Number two, it is virtually certain that this and that. Number three, I'm giving us options. You understand? Just pick one that you like and stay with it. You know, and funnily, in IELTS exam for real, you are not going to be writing more than one task 2 question. That's the truth. You won't be writing 2 task 2. Just one. You'll be writing 1 task 1 and 1 task 2. 1. So any practice you are doing, practice as though you are going to be writing just 1 exam. Don't practice as if you want to write 5 exams. You understand? So just take 1 or 2 or 3 structures under each of these aspects, learn it and master it. Let it be your pattern of writing. Your pattern, your normal pattern of writing. Okay. I think the person that doesn't hear me didn't know how to.
Sir, please, can you repeat it? I didn't get you.
Okay. All right. The person that didn't hear me, I think she wasn't able to connect properly. Please, if you can help those who are not able to connect properly to maybe just.
Sir, I didn't get you when you were saying it.
I'm going to come back again. But please, somebody should just guide those who are still struggling with connecting. Tell them to press the buttons, the icon twice. This icon, this so that they can know what to do. So they will not have to just stay and be struggling. This audio in icon twice, so that they can. There's also just have to type it down. If I have difficulty hearing, press the audio icon twice, so that you can be able to hear. So I said, master 2 or 3 structures of this particular useful language for neutral statement or for other aspects. Master it. Let it be your normal pattern. Don't change it. If you're writing another essay, use another method. Another essay, use another one. Use another essay, use another method. Abba. It's only 1 English test, 1 task 2 that you're going to be writing. Just 1 task 2. Not 5, not 3. So you just need to know one structure that is universal in approach, that will almost fit into any essay, and you are fine. So that in your practice you keep using that structure over and over and over, so that by the time you are writing, it becomes a normal part of you to write it that way. So it's not going to be an issue of I'm trying to remember, I'm trying to think, because there's so much to think about under real exam condition than all these minor areas. Okay, so I said this other one is there's a universal consensus that then you can also say it is generally accepted that
Music.
excuse me, it is generally accepted that you can also say there is a nowadays or recently, comma, or nowadays, or in the world today, comma, there has been a there has been a widespread heated debate about the subject of so and so, or there has been an argument or a controversy. There has been a controversy, or there seems to be, or there appears to be a controversy about so and so. Any way it suits you, write it, but let it be a normal pattern that you are used to. Now, the background statement is simply a paraphrase, and I said, try to marry your background with your neutral statement. Now, what I'm saying is quite simple to do. The reason why some people will have difficulties with this is perhaps because they have read so many materials, had so many whatever. In fact, I read a material back then that said you don't have to write introduction. So many materials that sometimes you're even confused which one is even the right thing. So, but see, you are not going to be writing IELTS twice. It's only once. So just know the normal approach. Don't go tech, don't go high tech. I don't know. Some people, maybe they have so much money. You understand? And so, okay, let me just let me try it this time. Don't try it. Go with the most normal
Mindset.
approach. The most normal approach. Let me use that word normal. Like this is the normal way you should write the exam. Official. Understand? Like you are doing an official interview. Then you don't go there with ear cut that they cut this place and cut that place. You want to be as normal as possible. Even if you are a funny person, when they ask you questions, you will answer officially. You will say, I'm a comedian. You will answer officially. So that mindset should be that of an official individual that is going for an interview, and you have the normal approach of answers to questions. You are not going there to crack jokes. You are not going there to make fun. You are very, very official, and that's a wisdom. So the paraphrasing. Now, how do you link your paraphrase with your neutral statements? It's simple. Now let us try to do this. I'm doing it on I mean for any topic now. You can apply it also whenever you say a topic. Nowadays, or in recent times, there have been widespread concern about the subject of pollution, which has led to an argument that so and so is better to approach this in this particular whatever community. Full stop. You can also say that in recent times, there has been widespread concern or there has been heated debates about the subject of child discipline, as a school of thought believes that children should be punished, while others feel otherwise. Simple, straight. Now, let me try and make a kind of definition here. In IELTS, what they are looking for is professional English, not complicated English, not hard English, not high level English. It's matured professional English. Now that is different from simple English. That you say, I am a boy, I am a girl, I want to go to market. That one is kindergarten English. That's not what you are looking for. So in as much as you are trying to be professional, you are advising to be too simple, like a child that is learning for apple or bar for boss. At the same time, you are also trying to maintain a high level of professionalism in the approach to the exam. So learning some framework and mastering it is not a bad idea at all. It's not a bad idea. It's, as a matter of fact, it's a lifesaver. It will only keep you from cracking your brain. And one of the things that makes a lot of students to fail is that they don't even know the right framework that if they put down, it's just going to seal it. Sometimes we try to just use a word that, okay, we want to try and use a word that we believe is going to make examiner to smile. I remember when I was writing some of these stuff, I remember an exam, I wrote a particular English pre uh, 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 prerogative, and I was excited. Yeah, wow, prerogative, big English. I had six in that exam, six. And I was wondering, maybe I wrote prerogative. By the time I get I say, it's not about prerogative that you wrote. If you like, write encyclopedia, write emotionalism, they don't care. Professional English, professional English. Know what the examiner wants and give it to you. And that's what I'm telling you. These are frameworks by Cambridge examiners themselves that wrote a book. This is the framework that they used to draft, that they drafted, and they advise that we can use. So I'm not just calling it from my head. I myself read it somewhere. So you have to apply it, okay? Now, so I've said how we can fuse those things together. Just try and make sure that your linking word is appropriate. That's the same. Don't use a wrong linking word when you are trying to bridge your neutral and your background statement. Now, some people often write this essay without a neutral statement. That is true. They just say, some people believe that rice is bad, while some claim it is good. That is too simple. It is too simple. So professionally, even if you are going to speak to an audience, it is important that you give some word that introduce people to the topic. You don't just start saying, even if you are going to preach in church or probably in mosque or anywhere that probably you want to, you don't just start a topic and say food. Food is, people say, you didn't even greet us, you know. So it is just idea that you try and give a word that will, first of all, call the attention of your reader. And that is the neutral statement, and that's what it's all about. So, and these are the frameworks. I'm giving like 7. Pick any one you like. You can just pick 2 or 3 that you just too short very well, and you keep on using. Okay? And then that will be fine. So that having said this, we'll move on to thesis statement. And I've said thesis statement can be approached in 3 or 4 ways. But importantly, guide against writing your thesis statement together with your background statement. It is not necessary. It only makes your sentence to be too complicated. It becomes too long. And at the same time, it loses theme and meaning. So better still, let your examiner come to a point when he can say, okay, this is exactly what this candidate is trying to say. I strongly agree, and don't say I strongly agree with the opinion. Which opinion? Because what you are calling opinion is not opinion. What you are calling opinion is a mixture of arguments, and what you are calling opinion is not yet defined. It's a complicated issue. It's an argument of some people. So you need to now say what you agree with out of those 2 issues that is being raised. You know, in this particular argument, we are saying some people believe that this is that, while some believe this is that, or there's an argument about this subject. So instead of you to just, just pick an assumption that the examiner should know what opinion you are arguing on. Try to let the examiner know the opinion. Now, when you are going to write that opinion down, there's a professional way to write it. So I strongly agree, or I firmly believe, or I strongly believe, or I firmly believe, or I strongly agree that children should be given certain measure of certain punitive measures to be able to make them responsible in the society. That is a simple opinion. The examiner will see that this is exactly what you are saying. Very straight. Now, the same thing applies to if it was, they were asking you, do you agree or disagree? Okay, I agree that money should be expended on other planets to be able to open up for possible life in those planets. Let your opinion be very clear, like crystal, in your body. In your thesis statement, very clear. Now, if you do not see anything like, do you agree, or to what extent do you, if the word "you" is not seen in the question that is being asked, you should not answer with a "I." If they don't ask you a question, don't answer with a "I." And an example of this is if they say, does the positive outweigh the negative? Does the positive outweigh the negative? That one is very, very clear. The word "you" is not being involved here. So you should answer in that professional manner. They are not asking me a question. They are only giving, they want to know a opinion of the positive over the negative. So you just answer by saying, you can say something like, this is the one I seem to like most. The benefit of this approach, or the benefits appears to be more overwhelmingly positive. Okay. The benefits appear to be more overwhelmingly positive. You can also say, this concept seems to be somewhat inadequate if it is negative you're talking about. And you can also say it is an inescapable fact that the pros are more impactful, or the pros have more impact than the cons, or the advantages will be more beneficial than the disadvantages. Because it did not ask you, do you, and they didn't even talk about agree or disagree. So you don't, when you say questions like, does the positive outweigh the negative, they are not saying do you agree or disagree. So you don't say, I agree that. That's a wrong answer, and that brings your mark down. So when they don't ask you, do you agree, don't answer I agree. If they don't ask you, do you agree, don't say I agree, because they're not asking you any question. It is only where they ask you question that you answer with a I. All right. So, having said this, moving on to the approach that you are going to be giving for your outline statement. That is the most simplest, of course, that is tautology, right? The simplest way you could write your essay. And the simplest point, where you will not even have to think. This essay will discuss the reasons why. Instead of saying the reason why it is so, what is so? What is so? Don't assume for the examiner. Rather, try to paraphrase what you said under that thesis statement. You can paraphrase it. This essay will discuss the reasons why it is necessary for children, or for training of children to be given a paramount attention. Are we together, please? This essay will discuss the reasons why it is crucial. Now, when you now have questions that have to do with strongly agree, then you can now begin to say, this essay will discuss the reasons why it is completely necessary, or it is absolutely necessary, or it is absolutely important, or it is totally important, or ultimately important for children to face a level of physical punishment, or level of corporal dealings, or discipline, or punishment, whatever. Trying to paraphrase. Now, that means you likely paraphrase in 3 points. Number one, under your background statement, under your thesis statement, and under your outline statement. Paraphrasing properly will be a major wisdom, and doing it in such a way that you don't have to repeat your words, and you don't have to too much summarize, will give you a leverage before your examiner. So I think we should quickly adapt these principles and get used to it so that we don't get complicated. I like to move to the body today. And there's a structure for the body that is very germane. It's normal, it's straightforward for all forms of body. I've said something before. I said you should try to ensure that your body contains repetition. Okay. We will come back to this. I will answer this question. Now, so back to the body issues. There's a frame up of body that we should learn. Number one, I've said it before. I said your body must contain 2 ideas at least. and 3 ideas at most. That's the least or the most. At least at most. Note that. Let that one be implanted in your mind. So some people write these things separately. They will write the body of the body one separately, and they write one idea for body one. They write another idea for body two. No, those two ideas is one body. You only link it with a connective device. Okay, so back to the issue. Body one has to do with a topic sentence, an explanation, an example. Then the second topic sentence, explanation, example, and then evidence. Topic sentence, explanation, example, the other topic sentence, explanation, example, and evidence. Now, because some people say, this is too long, but the truth is that is the idea. You can now, you may decide to frame up your second topic sentence, explanation, example into one, such that you may not have to write in separate forms. You write it as a complex sentence. That's for the second one. You can do that. Now, how do you frame these stuffs? Can we go into that? Now, so far, do you understand what I've been saying so far? Do I need to repeat myself? Just a minute, please. Okay. All right. I think everybody is flowing with me. Thank you. So, your topic sentence is the introduction to your body paragraph. All right, is your introduction to your body paragraph, and the way you write it matters. Okay, the way you write it matters. Many people are not aware of this, so they start their topic sentence like an explanation. So you start reading topic sentence, read the first line, second line, third line, fourth line. Where is the major issue about? I'm looking for the topic sentence. Maybe it's the last sentence. He was able to write it in such a way that he's so straight and he's hitting the nail on the head, like hitting the nail. What are you going to be talking about? Now, and that's the reason why I will be going back to talk about idea planning. Right? Your topic sentence should carry the theme of that sentence, of that paragraph. For some people, they can write the two ideas in that first topic sentence, while some will write the first idea, explain it, give example, go to second idea, explain it, give example, and they give evidence. That is the best. In so many of the essays I've seen written by Cambridge brethren, sorry, I didn't mean to say brethren, Cambridge examiners, you will actually observe that they often write the main theme of the first idea before they write the second theme of the second idea after the explanation has been made. But they so fused together you may not even know. But if you are careful enough, you know that's how they wrote it. Right? So, how do you write your body, your topic sentence? You simply make your reasons clear. Let me give an example. And remember, every connective device that will make sense to any examiner, I mean, everybody, please write this down. Let me make a discussion. Now, write this exactly the way I'm saying it. Everybody that will make sense to the examiner must start with a connective device. Now it looks like I'm talking about a whole lot of people, but I mean by body or anybody that will make sense to the examiner must start with a connective device. So never start your essay nakedly or just blatantly. You must start with a connective device. It's called link word to start with, to begin with. On the one hand, firstly, first of all. Now, there are some that you cannot use so because these stuff are so really many. So that you can just say, oh, let me just use anyone I like, you know, and all that. But you should be careful to know the professional ones you have to use. And I can beat my chest for to start with and to begin with. On the one hand, I can beat my chest for those ones. Okay. So comma, always with a comma when you are writing that. The now I will be talking about the techniques of a body sentence of a body or the techniques that you must learn to be able to properly write this. But just listen to this one. Perhaps the foremost reason why children must get a level of punishment for wrongdoings is so that they can have they can build a conscience against right and wrong. That is very simple and clear. Pinpoint. So you know that I want to be talking about conscience against right and wrong. Now, if you now write it like this, the reason why children should be punished is so that if is to be able to make sure that if they get angry and somebody now makes them someone now beats them, then the person will now give them wire and then they will cry. That will now make them to know that it is not good. Thus, that sentence has lost meaning. Now, I was able to hit my point straight so that they can have a conscience or they can build a conscience against what? Right or towards the right and the wrong. Now, this is just an example from the blues. Now, what I'm trying to find is that the issue of conscience must be very clear cut, so that you are not actually allowing your examiner to be confused of what is he saying, what is he actually saying. It is so you are eating so clearly that there is no confusion. All right, and that is very crucial for your body, for your topic sentence. And the same thing applies to the second topic sentence. Now, the word perhaps there as a work is doing, and I will advise you can put. Now, some people also apply. I saw one of my students that wrote a topic sentence, and I loved it. He said the foremost reason that appears. I mean, how did the person put it now? You just use the word the reason that appears to be most crucial. Exactly, the reason that appears to be most crucial or appears to be most relevant, that causes so and so is so and so. Now, that person is not being exact, but is trying to use a level of maturity to portray the points to the examiner. That, okay, this matter, in my own opinion, this is the foremost, but in somebody else's opinion, it may not be the foremost. So that one perhaps is trying to say, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm being tentative. That is what we call tentative language. And it pushes your mark by one band score. Let me say this. If you write an essay and there's no tentative language, and you write another essay and there are tentative languages, the probability of you having an extra band score is very likely 100% than if there is no tentative language. So you can start using your tentative language even from your topic sentence because it has a very major force that it bears on your mark. So perhaps the most common reason or the most I just changed it now. I said it pushes your bar score by one. So if you are at level 6, it gives you one extra one. If you are probably at level maybe level 5, it moves to level 6. So it gives your grammar an edge over when you don't have grammar at all. Okay. I want to try and see if I can snap out that particular essay I was talking about and read out. But then now the second point is your explanation. There is a major issue about explanation. It must be void of emotions. You must point, your explanation must be full of points that are expanded. That's explanation. Expanded points. You should not be modeled English. You should not just be writing a lot of things. When you talk about conscience, what is conscience? Conscience is when your artist you must expand your point. So just give maybe one or two extra points that are hidden under that point. Just expand it. And let me give an example now. But I talked about lacking emotions. Don't be emotional. Don't say, this is a very big reason. That very is crisis for you. Chris, I'm going to be giving us that. Don't worry. I just want us to just go the framework now. The very may be emotional and avoid being emotional. Emotionalism is going to get you in trouble. The word very, fantastic, fantabulous, uh, 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 you know, I mean, trying to bear your emotions. It was a very, very sad day for me. Please, it's not your business. It's an exam, please. Don't try to get your examiner to be moved by what you are saying. Maybe to start crying. I don't care. Avoid racism, avoid discrimination, avoid what that's going to give you a kind of look as if you're trying to call the sympathy of your examiner. Avoid all those things. They only put somebody in trouble. So you should just throw those things away. Now, let me give a picture now. I want to try and I want to be very clean and clear. That's why I'm trying to see if I can pick up this essay. It's a fantastic for me, and I feel we should have a kind of glue into it. How am I finding it difficult to get this thing? My phone is already under pressure. So now the way I write my own is like this. This is because the conscience appears to give a room for reflection. Okay, now that appears to give is another example of a new statement. A room for reflection after a level of confrontation against a wrongdoing or against an act of wrongdoing. Okay, now that in a way is trying to like appeal the examiner to what you feel, I mean what you mean about that conscience issue. Also, when an individual reflects, he begins to have a thought system for possible reasons why such attitude should not be repeated again. Now, this is reasonable and straight, non-emotional. You are trying to just break an example down, a point down into clear reasons that are tangible and can consciously make the examiner know that what you are saying is true. And that is all right. That's all you need to do. So one should be careful to avoid unnecessary hype or noise or discrimination or whatever in your writing. That is explanation. Now, moving on to example. Your example should not be personal. When I was a child, my mother used to beat me. Wrong example, error. Don't use personal examples. Avoid use of personal examples. Try to be professional. So you just make an illustration from an event that you can remember. Somebody now says, sir, what if I cannot remember any event and all I can just remember is that I'm feeling bored? Very simple. Cook an event that is not going to be too complicated for you. As simple as that. Cook a non-complicated event and then try to describe it. And when you're describing, don't write statistics because the question said, pick your example from a personal experience. Now, if you start writing statistics that 5 people wrote this and that, 10 people did this and that, you are putting yourself in trouble because the bottom line is just that eventually you will end up writing a bogus point or most likely unrealistic points, and that will put you in trouble. So avoid figures generally. An example of this can be seen among Nigerian children who, who often express a level of respect. I like using level of, you will have observed that everybody have their own. Now, but the bottom line is that you should now try to now correct it consciously. So you just change that level of to a height of or whatever it is that you like. But bottom line is this: try not to be emotional in your example. Don't catch the sympathy of your examiner. Just go straight to whatever you wanted to say and be very exact, be very pinpointing in that stuff. Now, in your example, you can write your example as a passive statement. I advise you can write your example as a passive statement. That means you are trying to write from the back. Now, the children were beaten by the teacher. Nigerian children often experienced high-handed discipline from their teachers. Okay, they are turning it backwards. Every I don't want to use sentence, but every essay that will give your examiner an attraction must be professional. So if you have been writing active, there should be at least one or two passive statements in your essay, at least minimum one or two. And I will advise that you can let your example be that passive statement. Okay. Now let me read out this little essay for you to you. To start with, comma, not being accepted appears to be the foremost social problem experienced from people of other tongue. Look at the word appears to be. That is tentative statement, and it's going to switch that mark upwards. Now, in reality, it seems logical to agree that women perhaps find it difficult to associate with others who do not belong. This is a wonderful, powerful, non-emotional statement. Apart from the fact that is having a lot of tentative statements involved, like what perhaps the word seems logical to agree. Already, it is. This can even be an example, but the person still want to write an example. Now, I'm going to read out these examples to you, and I'm not going to give it to you in a passive way. Then let's see how we work together. For instance, a Chinese man may find relating with American neighbors to be a serious task. Let me now give the passive statement. For instance, American neighbors relationship with Chinese men, or an American relationship with a Chinese man in the same neighborhood could be a serious task. So, turning it over, it could be a serious task for a Chinese man to relate with an American, especially when they are neighbors. That's another form. Now, we are trying to turn sentence into many forms. All you are trying to do is to let yourself to have a flexibility in your grammar, not necessarily big English now, but expression of grammar in a way that the examiner will know that you have a proficiency in English, not just you're just writing many words. And I try to tell people, try or attempt to make your extra, or let me put the word, your sub ideas. That's what I want to say. Your sub ideas. Sorry, I like to understand what this question. The judgment was that, for instance, a Chinese man may find relating with American neighbors to be a serious task. Okay, that's the initial one. But you can put it in other ways. You can write a sentence in 5 ways that will be still correct. But one way is that understand the power of passive sentences and try to use it in your work. Now, this can be applied. This thing I just said now is the same principle for the second topic sentence. And then, but of course, when you're starting your second topic sentence, don't just start like that. You must do what? Use connective device. Example, in addition, or you can say another reason why so and so, or you can say furthermore. You can also say an alternative reason, for this, another reason that can be pointed out is so and so. So that's another one. Furthermore, you can also say furthermore. So um, now, when you're writing your second idea, you may fuse the example and the explanation into one. You may even start with your explanation, with your example, and end your explanation, just to allow for flexibility, but maintain your non-emotional approach. Look at, let me read out this one for us. Furthermore, loss of crucial information appears to be another major unpalatable experience encountered. Full stop. Let your topic sentence be one simple sentence that is powerful and carries a lot of information. So now break it down. Language is a breakdown of communication. So any barrier of misinformation leads to information deficit, which may likely result in forfeited benefits. As a matter of fact, make sure any assertion you have in your essay should be converted to a tentative statement. And I will talk about that at the end of this body. Now, how do you write your effects or your evidence? That's the last phrase, the concluding part of your body paragraph. It must be a truly conclusive aspect. Don't just round up your essay with an explanation and jump out of it. Let there be a word that will bring it together. Something like therefore, something like hence, something like in effect. It can be demonstrated. Okay? In effect, it can be demonstrated that, okay, hence, it can be seen, or therefore, there are veritable facts that are the points that have been earlier enumerated proves with a level of certainty, or with a high level of certainty, that so and so is so and so. That means you're trying to say, I with all these points, it is quite explicitly clear that these issues are true. So I have said the most common one is it can be demonstrated that. The number ends, remember therefore, remember in effect. You can now add anything you want to add. Now, the reason why there are rules for you to add up what you like to add up is because it is your essay. You're not supposed to cram, but the framework around some of these things should be mastered so that when you want to add your own, it will be sensibly added. And you will not have to interpret or mix up stuffs. You can add and you will feel, like this. I still have a say in this matter. Your English acumen, your grammatical acumen can still be put into place. So, having said all of this, I want to move a little bit into the concession. Concession. And concession, in my own opinion, is what makes viewpoint essay to be very simple, straightforward, simple, direct. It makes your works nice. So when somebody is now writing concession and is now writing complicated English, what is the issue? Your composition should just be one sentence. Okay? Albeit, or admittedly, or however, or although, okay, opponents of this view claim that, and you tell us what they claim, then you now negate it. Just although opponents of children discipline allude or presume or argue that punishing children will bring a high level of psychological torture or psychological uh, uh, disturbance for possibly long periods of time. And you just say, however, full stop. However, research has shown that the impact of punishing children have better effects or long-term effects that will wipe away any form of psychological or any form of emotional discomfort or emotional deficit. That's all. One line, two lines. Actually, it should be two lines, but one sentence, one complex sentence, starting with albeit or alternate or admittedly. Admittedly is to agree, although is to say their points. So admittedly, there are few drawbacks from the act of from the act of punishing children. However, the positive impact have been proven to last longer and wipe off the negative or the untoward aspects. So what's that? Yes, sir. So two lines, three lines, you are okay. No need to be telling me because in Germany. No. Just stop at that point and then move to your conclusion. And so the conclusion is the paraphrase of the outline is actually a more detailed paraphrase of the outline. That's the conclusion. It's a more detailed paraphrase of the outline. Then you now have your restatement, which is like reaffirming your points. I'm reaffirming my points. Okay, and I will tell you there is a structure for it. In conclusion or conclusively, this essay discussed the impact of conscience on the child, the positive impact of conscience on the child through punishment, and the the possibility of raising leaders through the act of dealing with child. Now you can just fit together the impact of conscience and the possibility of raising leaders or leaders raising possibilities by the effect of punishment. Yeah, your consension will be in your second paragraph. Now, some people may now have a second paragraph that will still be having a point, but for me, it's a waste of time. You don't have time. You now be writing another point. 2 points is okay. Which one is Yasheju? Something that at the end of the day, you are looking for yourself. If you don't write 1 point, you don't say yourself is not possible. God forbid. So write 2 points, go to your concession, conclude and jump and read your essay. Once it's more than 250 words, you have gotten your 7. That's all. Now let me tell you something. If you can fulfill the parameters that is required to have a 7, you can't have less than a 7. That's the truth. And I've said this before. Task achievement, task response, you were able to answer the question correctly. You did not answer question A for B. Number B, you are able to give cohesion. That is, all your essay started with a cohesive device, connective device. You use connective device appropriately. You use your paragraphing, and I said paragraphing should be one line in between each paragraph. You use referencing very well. You avoid repeating words in your lexical resource. You use vocabulary that is specific to the topic. You are not speaking big English, that's not necessary. And you use your grammar. Tentative statement is there. Passive statements. They will give 7.5. That's the truth. So know what they want and give them. So that conclusion, in conclusion, comma, or conclusively, comma, or to sum up, comma, this essay discussed the conflicts that generates from communal imbalance. Full stop. Now, this is how you now write your own final reinstatement. It seems logical, or it seems reasonable to reason. It seems logical to reason that, or it seems reasonable to assert that. You now write what you assert. Full stop. That's all. That's all. So you are true, and that's how you get your 7. That's all. So simple. But if you don't know the things they want, you just be writing big English, and then we still have nonsense score. Now, I'd like to quickly talk about 2 things before we round up tonight, which I believe is going to help us in the other lectures. What are the grammatical techniques you need to learn? I've mentioned some of them, but I'll mention others now, to be able to have your structure to be well brought together. There are about 7. Okay. I want to know whether I'm rushing. Am I rushing? Am I putting under pressure? I want us to talk. Just unmute and say something. Okay. All right. Okay. So, thank you very much.
No.
All right. So, thank you. So, let's write these 7 stuff down. 7 grammatical techniques you must learn to be able to attack grammar. And because you see, 2 areas that students used to have much problem is grammar and lexical resources. That's the major reason students used to fail most. Grammar and resources. And I will teach you how to deal with that, because if you cannot, right now we have studied structure. This structure is straightforward. People that are writing all over that there are more than 1 million. So they are too flexible to be tied to a structure. So they will allow so many differences. But if your grammar and your lexical resource is weak, that's voila. And that's the major reason why students fail. Now, I want to read out 7 stuffs that you just have to know. Number 1, tentative language. Write it down. Tentative language. This is non-assertive words. Non-assertive words can be, might be, should consider, tend to, perhaps, maybe, should be, probably, should be, probable that, likely. Now, so that I can help those who are probably not able to hear me as fast as I am running, I'm going to paste the 7 stuffs on the chat room now. So you can just look at it so that I can be faster. Right, so I've pasted it. So you can just go through it and I'll be able to move along. The next one is impersonal language. Some people call it impersonal approach. That is words in third person, words that does not reflect I, me, or myself. An example is, instead of saying I will advise that, you just say it seems advisable that. Okay? It seems advisable that so and so is done. Another one is it would appear that. Instead of saying it's I will allude that, just say it will appear that. And the examiner will recognize that you are giving an opinion in an academic and impersonal way and will be impressed by this. Now, you see, apart from the single time you use I, that is under your thesis statement, if they ask a question from you, apart from that single time that you use I, don't ever use I in any other part of any of the essay again. Run away from the temptation that you should say I, we. How many of you? Are you trying to involve the examiner? Of course, some people say we think, but you don't have to say that. Just say it will seem that, it will seem that, it will appear that, and then it is logical to conclude that, it is sensible to conclude that, it seems logical. You can also say it seems logical, so that you're not, that seems and appears. Somebody should help me copy it, please. Somebody is still asking, please help me copy again. Somebody can't help me. Thank you. So it will appear that, it appears that, it seems that, it will seem that, it's logical. It's logical to conclude that, it's sensible to conclude that. The other thing is passive language, and I've talked about it before, reversing subject to object. So now instead of saying the companies built the road, or the company built the road, just say the road was built. I used the word were, that was wrong. Okay, the roads were, okay, the road was built, the roads were built by the company. Okay? So this is more commonly used, or should be appropriately used, or should be more appropriate with examples. So to say the children in Bulgaria enjoyed food or enjoyed feeding. You know, say the food was enjoyed by children in Nigeria. That is more appropriate to also past events. So if you are talking about past events, it is very, very easy for you to use passive language. Then, of course, the word non-emotional language, that is the word very, very, very. Now, even a lot of is regarded to be emotional. A lot of. So if you can avoid using a lot of, you just say considerable number of people. Okay, that's a bit more weighty. Considerable number of people. Okay, then the word too many people may also be realized to be emotional. Okay, then there are few words that we use in our religious settings that you should try to avoid using in your essay. Something like it is well. It is well. Okay. Or sometimes you just wait the word to be sure that it doesn't appear religious, it doesn't appear too emotional. That is is calling attention of the examiner's emotion. No, don't you're not writing a love letter. Be careful not not to pull the emotion of the examiner. Don't pull strings so that you don't get. Then the other one is please help us. It's like people are leaving, so please kindly help us to replace. It's like some people are leaving and then they cannot. Thank you very much, Mr. Osas. Thank you very much. Now, then formal language, appropriate vocabularies. Now, this particular aspect I just mentioned now, topic specific vocabularies. There's only one way to grow in it. Only one way. And the only way is by reading. Reading appropriate books such as BBC News app, uh, Guardian articles, not Guardian Nigeria, the Guardian that is International Guardian, Telegraph, New York, whatever. All these papers, even you may even read sport papers, goal.com, and all that. Please, let us engage ourselves with reading a lot. You will find a lot of vocabularies and write them down if you can, and you get better. Then complex sentences. Apart from your topic sentence that you're going, we are going to be bringing out points. We are going to be like making your examiner know what you're going to say. Try not to use too simple words. The boy went to the market. Maybe you could just write it in another way that will just catch some attention. Not necessarily that you are going to write big English, but if you can bring it to another sentence so that it doesn't appear simple. Avoid having two simple sentences in between your paragraph. You understand? You can use simple sentence to start, at least as a test and then maybe to finish, but not in the middle because the examiner is going to be engrossed with what you are trying to say. So by the time you are fusing words into words, it could catch attention and give him a grip that you know what you are saying. All right? And then noun persons. This is a way of referencing. Like I was saying, hospital workers, but I was saying people that work in the hospital, okay, or people that argue against the point, okay. Words that carry the title of what you are trying, of people you are referring to, without necessarily repeating those words. They are called noun persons, okay. I want to see if I can just pull out some examples of noun persons for us, so that we can have it, and then it can be, at least you can use it when necessary. Let me see if I can do that now. So now, I don't know what taxpayers. Thank you very much. That is it. Or people that pay tax. You can even write that. So, in a way, you are trying to avoid repeating the noun. That's what you're trying to do. Now, let me see this noun persons. I'm yet to really eat it. I thought I saw it now. So now, after all of this, I want to round up with how to plan for this essay. Okay, I've seen it. How to plan for this essay. Okay. I want to just paste this quickly, then I will talk about how to plan for essays. Planning for essays. How do you plan? If you can plan for your essay and you can write tangible points, you give yourself a level of leverage over someone that is just going to be writing from the head. Now, write this time code down. Okay, are we together, please?
Yes.
Write this time code down. Three, 12, 5. Now look at this. Look at this. This is the noun persons. Your essay body, one idea can start with noun persons. Noun persons are nouns used to identify people by their role. Taxpayers, people who work, who pay tax, people who support, people who accept, authorities, the government, contributor. So I think you can say that. Now, 3, 12:05. That is a framework of time. 3 minutes to plan your tax one. That is, you try to write your outline. 12 minutes to write your report. 5 minutes to cross-check. This will be your standard practice time. Then moving on to essay 2, 7, 25, 12 or 13. 7, 25, 13. Sorry, is that not 45 minutes? Please, how much is that, please? So it should be 7, 25, 8. Yeah, 7, 25, 8. So 7 minutes to plan. It could be up to 10. 25 minutes to write, 8 minutes to read through. Now, if you are not practicing this particular pattern in your practicing section, when do you want to practice it? Is it only exam mode? Let me do something. Whatever you are not used to before I enter exam, you can't start doing it on the exam mode. They call it, I don't know the words they call that thing. So that person just become freeze. I practiced the act of going to the toilet during my reading section while I was practicing. And I did it a number of times. That's okay. After my second essay, I will go to the toilet and I will come back. And I will finish in maybe 52 minutes. So that is plus the time of toilet, 52 minutes altogether, 55 minutes. So I was already confident that I can do it in the exam hall. And I did it in the exam hall. After the second paper, after 30 minutes, I went to the toilet, spent like 5 minutes,